Hi gang, Rob here. It is the afternoon of 16 July 2018, coming to you with a knife review of a new product from Great Eastern Cutlery, the handcrafted Tidioute cutlery line to be exact. And the knife we're going to look at today in this gorgeous cardboard tube is the number 441218 Buffalo Jack, or large gunstock Jack, or you possibly could call it a 44 Magnum Jack, in Gabon ebony wood. So this is the first completed model from the 2018 new pattern 44 gunstock Jack. This in Tidioute trim, as I said, and because it's the first model out in Tidioute trim, it gets that triple P designation. Let me see if I can get this right. Pattern Production Premier. Is that right, Patty? I believe it is. Pattern Production Premier. That's the first number 44 gunstock Jack. Ain't it a beaut, Pa? As Opie Taylor might ask. So what is it? Well, let me open both blades so we can just get a look at the handle. It is a gunstock Jack. So we have this pronounced radius notch. It's the shape of the buttstock of a rifle. Or buttstock and receiver, maybe, huh? Yeah. Which is, by the way, a beautiful knife in hand. I think they're popular for several reasons. Number one, the ergonomics are great. Number two, the aesthetics are great. And they became famous when Winchester marketed them. Guys just had to have them. They were well-made knives, and they were gorgeous to boot. This one, no exception. Now, the 44 is not the first time Bill Howard and the gang at Great Eastern Cutlery have offered a gunstock Jack. I believe in 2014, they made the 22 Magnum gunstock Jack, just about an inch shorter than this knife. This is 3 9/16 closed. I believe the 22 is about 2 5/8. I believe. So this is a large Magnum gunstock Jack. Two blades, as you can obviously see. The clip point is perfectly proportioned with a nail nick and a drawn swedge. I'm going to wipe my greasy fingerprints off of it for you. Okay. There you go. Super functional main clip. And its length is 2 7/8 inches. Gorgeous GEC satin finish. This one obviously rocking an edge by TheApostleP knife service. As soon as I got home from the post office, I sharpened it and it went in my pocket. You're darn tootin' it did. By the way, have I ever mentioned that with a proper edge, GEC knives cut really well? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So you get that 2 7/8 inch main clip blade, and then my favorite feature on this knife, believe it or not, is the secondary blade. 2 3/8 inches of pen blade. Are you kidding me? A big, usable pen blade, much like the number 78 American Jack. The blade configuration is also very much the same as the number 78 American Jack. So you have a mark side pen blade. A lot of guys like the pile side pen blade, so the main blade is unobstructed when you go to get it. Now, in the 78 and in the 44, the mark side pen is kind of cool because you actually get a little leverage off the spine of the pen blade to open the main, And I'm going to say the pull on this main blade is a solid 7.5. Not quite what the old clip point 78s were. Those were a solid 8, maybe an 8.5. But still, having that pen blade there to sort of pry against to get that blade moving is a good thing. Just a super user, man. So in the hand, even with the pen blade closed, very nice. This large butt of the handle really sort of fills that ring and pinky finger to get good control of the blade. Of course, using the pen blade with the main closed, not nearly as ergonomic, but who cares? This is generally kept by most traditional slip joint aficionados. The pen blade is usually kept pristine to be used when perhaps your main user blade might be getting a little dull and you need to do some really precise cutting. You've always got that super sharp laser-like pen blade. That's sort of how I do it. Your pins in this knife are going to be brass. The hot dog shield and the bolsters and butt caps are going to be nickel silver, and steel springs, brass liners. One thing I really want to mention on this knife, and this is the second 2018 GEC I've received recently. I think last year especially, people were, just had to wipe my hardware, people were kind of a little bit nervous, a little anxious about some of the fit and finish we saw from GEC knives. And those of you who are at the rendezvous or kind of keeping your ear to the rail, so to speak, were aware that that first crop of employees that GEC started with back in, what, 2005, were kind of getting thin. You know, they were getting older, they were retiring, they were finding other employment in some cases, and that first crew that Bill started with and trained from the ground up, they were starting to wither, and new employees were being added to keep up with demand. And 2017 was a big training year for GEC. The quality of this knife from a fit and finish point of view is absolutely amazing. Bill is obviously a great trainer of cutlers because everything's beautiful. The transitions are seamless. If I were blind, I'd have a hard time knowing they were even there. The hafting, absolutely beautiful. I opened both blades and held the spine up to a light and looked into the blade well. Could not see even a sliver of light. And to me, the showpiece view of a gunstock jack is that large butt. And look at the beauty of the hafting in this area of the knife. Springs dead straight across. Finish absolutely beautiful. You know, that's how it should look. It really, really is. Just an amazing piece of work. Back springs against the tangs, they are perfectly flush when closed. Now, this is sort of a GEC trait. Back springs are hardly ever flush at half stop. When open, dead flush. Pen blade, when open, dead flush. So why not flush at half stop? I've talked to Randy Bell, the engineer at GEC, about this on I think more than one occasion, and it's a pretty simple answer. It's a meaningless feature. Much more important is the walk and talk, the operation of the knife. So to get a desired walk and talk, a desired feel at half stop, those back springs just sort of fall where they may. Not a problem whatsoever. Did I mention it's absolutely freaking gorgeous? Oh man, is it? In my favorite cover material for a user GEC, Gabon Ebony and Tidioute trim. Oh, by the way, the blade centering is absolute perfection. Another masterpiece from Great Eastern Cutlery. They're making this knife in several cover and finish options in Tidioute trim. There's the Gabon Ebony, and I believe 1 or 2 jigged bones. There might even be a linen micarta. I'm sure there's some stag in the mix, probably in Northfield trim. There's also going to be, in addition to jigged bone in Northfield, there will be a wood that I can't remember with brass hardware. The bolsters will be lined and pinched. The butt caps will be chamfered on 3 sides, and I believe they will have the unexcelled stamp in the butt cap. That is going to be a super collectible knife. I can't remember if I reserved one or not. I wish I could remember. I don't think I did. I think I just got a jigged bone coming. Probably a large mistake on my part. The gunstock jack, definitely a pattern that hasn't gotten enough attention in GEC world, probably because the only one they've made so far was a small one. I think a gunstock jack should be rather large. So this, size-wise, is about halfway between a number 15 and a number 77. 3 9/16 in length. Now it's going to feel a little chunkier than a 15 just because of the large butt end, which I really like. So it's not an overly long knife in the closed position, but it's a substantial knife, especially in hand. If you haven't gotten one of these early reserved at collectorknives.net, you're probably going to be looking at secondary market unless you are absolutely lightning fast when they hit at Knife Ship Free and DLT. So be prepared, guys. If you're watching this video in a timely fashion, like close to when I make it, more Tidioutes and all the Northfields are soon to hit. So be prepared, my friends. Be prepared. If anyone was wondering if GEC was on the demise from its perch as the premier manufacturer of traditional pocket knives in the world, I can report with glee that reports of the demise of GEC quality have been greatly exaggerated. What a beauty. A masterpiece, Mr. Howard. Thank you so much for making it. That's all for this one, my friends. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the word in my number 44 Buffalo or 44 Magnum Jack are sharp.